Hello, this is Angela Saunders welcoming you to my podcast. Now today I'm very lucky to have Jason Levy of the London Tinnitus Treatment Clinic here in London at Harley Street, and today he's going to be telling us about his appointment system, his online appointment system. And Jason has a clinic on Harley Street, and when he decided that he wanted to start taking appointments, he decided that he would use it via his website, and it's very interesting the way he actually set it up. So he's agreed to answer some questions today, and I hope that that will act as a useful guide for you.
Thank you for that wonderful welcome, Angela, and I'm quite excited to see what questions you're going to ask me.
Okay, well, let's get on with them then. So, I want to ask you, what has been the biggest gain from having an online appointment system?
Well, the greatest gain for me is it enables me to spend more time on the business and less time having to answer the telephone.
Brilliant. Yes. And was it difficult to set up?
It is actually quite easy to set up the way that I've done it. The system that I was using before was the Google Calendar. I was using that on my own, but it can be used with a group of people, and you just have to know how to enable them to access the diary as well.
Okay, but I'd like to hear about your system, which I believe is online, but it isn't software that's on your website. It works by having a virtual secretary's telephone number on your site.
That's right. So,
sorry, I was just going to say, what make software did you choose?
Well, I'm using Google Calendar, and in fact they also use Google Calendar, but if you have a CRM system, they can also use that as well. By CRM system, I mean something like Vtiger or Salesforce. So why did I use the Google software, which I was already using? Basically because there's no additional, for me, there was no additional setup involved. I published a virtual telephone number which directs to a virtual PA, and if that they are able to access my diary, and they can see when I'm free and when I'm available, and then they can book people in, and it just pops up either on my laptop or on my phone.
Interesting, very useful. But were there costs involved, and were there setup costs, or did you manage to do that yourself?
Well, I was already using the Google Calendar, and as far as setup cost, it's really only the time that it takes to allow somebody else to access your Google Calendar. There is if you use Google Apps, the process is slightly smoother, but then there is an additional monthly cost, quite a modest additional cost involved, and then you can share your calendar more easily, but it still is possible if you just use the free calendar app that's available on any Android phone and online.
And what other choices are available?
Well, you could use something like Vtiger, which is it's free CRM software, that's customer relationship management software. Vtiger is quite a good bit of software actually. You would install that on your own website. You can use a Vtiger hosted solution. That involves a monthly cost, or you can host it yourself. If you host it yourself, you can have as many users as you want. If you use the hosted version, then you pay per user. The advantage of Vtiger is that you can have all of your customer data, you can put your products on there, you can put your appointments on there, and you can also have a ticket system, a help ticket system. So if people come to your website and want to ask a question about a product, or if they have a product and they have a problem, then their question goes into a ticket queuing system, and you can actually see which questions need to be answered, and you can answer them in turn. And anything which hasn't been completed is still remains on the to-do list. So that's a very good bit of software, and I would definitely recommend it if you have the time to set it up.
Okay, and could a virtual assistant use that as well for you?
Yes, the people that I'm using are able to use a CRM system, so they would log on as a user onto your CRM system, or if you're using a hosted system, they would log on to the hosted CRM, and they can then book appointments onto it for you. They can also add client details on as well. And it takes a lot of the administration off your hands, so that you can concentrate on the business rather than on the sometimes laborious aspect of putting details onto the computer.
Brilliant. And you also mentioned to me earlier a system called MeTime.
Yeah, that's right. Now, that's something that's just recently become available. They have a website, MeTime, METIME, and they are specifically set up for alternative practitioners, such as people doing massage, hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, and even nail technicians and chiropractors. So they have quite a range of different industries that they cater to. They have their own appointment system, and they can even take credit cards on your behalf, so that when people book an appointment, they actually have to pay something in advance, and that helps in ensuring that people turn up to the appointments.
That sounds like a really good option for consultants.
It's certainly something that I'm looking into potentially adding. Being on Harley Street, the time is quite precious, and if someone were to book an hour with me and not turn up, then potentially it's costing me money, but also it's preventing another client from coming to see me.
Yes, that's excellent. Do you think it would work for tradesmen as well if they have a call-out charge?
Well, MeTime have set themselves up specifically for therapists and alternative practitioners. I should imagine that it is entirely possible to find a service that will do something similar for tradesmen. It's not something that I've looked into myself, because it's not my area.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, you obviously chose the system that you did because it was convenient for you and
Yes.
your requirements. But it just shows listeners that there are plenty of options out there, and ways to take the strain off of your own appointment system, and make it run more smoothly and leave you free to be able to do other things. So let's say a potential customer wants to book an appointment. And what are the steps from beginning to end? How do they go about it?
Right, well, so they will go onto my website and they'll see that there is a phone number that they can call. Depending on the virtual PA service that you're using, they may also have an option to be able to do a web chat and do things through a web chat. So they will, in my case, they'll call a number and they'll get through to a real person, and my PA will ask for certain details such as name, address, telephone number, and also find out what kind of appointment it is that they want. Now, in my case, I do two things. I do tinnitus treatment, and I also help hearing impaired people. So I do hearing tests, evaluation, and also fitting of hearing systems. So the different appointments require different lengths of time, and it's important that I have someone there to be able to give some information out, and also to be able to book the right kind of appointment. So once my PA books the appointment, that will go onto my Google Calendar, and it will actually pop up onto my phone, so I can look at the week ahead and I can see what appointments have already been booked. If there are certain times which I'm not going to be available, let's say for instance I'm at a conference on next Tuesday, then I'll put that into my diary just to make sure my PA knows not to book any appointments on that day. And then the client is given a confirmation that the appointment has been booked. Now, in my case, we also need to book the clinic in Harley Street. So once the appointment is booked, it goes through to the reception in 10 Harley Street, and then they will send a confirmation to confirm that it's booked. And if there's any issues, for instance, if they don't have any space, which is quite rare, if there are any issues, then they'll liaise with my PA, and then my PA will liaise with the client to make sure they can rebook another time.
Brilliant. And does it do what you wanted it to do?
Right, so that's a very good question. What I wanted to do was I wanted the client details to be entered into my Google address book, so that I would have a list of clients. That's only possible if you subscribe to Google Apps. So currently it doesn't do everything that I want it to do. They put the client's details onto my Google Calendar, but then it's not in the right place for me to export the client details into for instance, if I wanted to do a mail out, I can't do that from Google Calendar. So I have two choices. One is I can subscribe to Google Apps, and then that will enable me to grant access to my address book, or the path that I intend to go down is to actually get Vtiger set up properly, which is going to entail sitting down for half a day and getting my client database set up the way I want, and the products set up on the system. But once that's set up, it's a very powerful system to use. It's like all of these things. There's so many things that you can do, and only so much time. And it's but it is important. I mean, I do realise, and I'm sure your people watching realise that getting your fundamentals sorted out at the beginning is quite important. But on the other hand, getting out there and doing something is equally important. So if you spend all of your time preparing and none of your time actually doing anything, then you're not going to get anything done. So you've got to prepare a certain amount. My advice, anyway, is to prepare a certain amount, get out there and do something. I'd certainly believe that close enough is good enough, and then you can see once you're sort of moving in a certain direction, you can see if you're going in the right direction. And in my case, I am going in the right direction, but I need to sort of, I think, do a slight course correction and sort of pause a little, get my Vtiger CRM system set up, and then go full speed ahead.
Okay, well, thank you for being so honest. Now, I was going to say to you, knowing what you know now, would you do it differently? But you've just answered that question.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you. So overall,
yeah,
how long did the process take?
Well, this is the main reason why I chose to do it the way that I did. It took me something like 5 or 10 minutes to set up a virtual telephone number. The company which I use is VoIP phone, VoIP phone. They're very good, they're very reliable, and the call quality is very good. You can set up a telephone number in virtually any city around the world, and you can have free phone numbers, and you can have geographical numbers. It's up to you what kind of phone number you want.
And what are the charges for that?
Costs about for your first number, it costs about £10 set up and then £2 a month. That's just off the top of my head.
That sounds very reasonable.
And in my case, if you're redirecting to a geographical number, then it's something like 1p a minute. So that side of things is very economical.
What about the cost of the software you're going on to?
Well, Vtiger. Well, this is the thing. You can install the software. That they have a open source version which you can install onto your website.
Oh, really?
That's free of charge, and it's if you can install software. Then, for instance, if you could install WordPress, you could install Vtiger. A lot of hosting companies already have Vtiger available as a script, which you can just install with one click. From there, it's just a matter of getting to grips with setting it up the way that you want it, and learning their technology, their terminology.
Right.
But it's pretty much standard within the CRM community. So that's free. If you want a basic CRM system, you can typically you can set up for $5 or $10 a month, and in some cases, depending on how fast your website is, you might be better off having a hosted CRM solution. So,
right.
So next off, as far as the telephone goes, that's maybe 5 or 10 minutes setup. You would then need to share your calendar with your virtual PA, and again that just takes 5 minutes to go in to the settings and invite someone else to manage your calendar for you. Of course, you need to get a virtual PA, and the company that I use is called Livetel, Livetel. There are many virtual assistant companies out there. I've had experience of overseas outsourcing of virtual assistants. The company that I use is actually based just outside of London, because I found in the past, although people in other countries, such as India or Pakistan, are nominally speaking the same language, it's not exactly the same, and there are cultural differences. And it's a lot better if you can find a virtual PA in your country, speaking your language. Then that's great. Next best thing would be to find a company in the UK or in the US maybe. A lot of them will take messages, not all of them will book appointments, so you need to look into that and make sure that it is a company that will book appointments. And as far as the cost goes, it's something like £30 a month for up to 30 messages, and there's an extra bolt-on of £7 a month, which is for them to book appointments for me. So if you compare that to the price of a receptionist sitting by a telephone all day and having to pay them all day at an hourly rate, it's actually working out very well.
Brilliant. And finally, you mentioned Google Apps. You have to sign up for that. What would be the charge for that?
Well, if you wanted them to also manage your address book through Google Apps, that is something like $7 a month off the top of my head. So again, it's not not an exorbitant amount. The reason I haven't gone down that route yet is because I always intended to set up my system on my own CRM system on Vtiger. I just haven't got round to it yet because I'm so busy with I'm so busy with work. But I think
we're pleased to say.
Well, yeah, I am pleased to say I can't complain for being too busy. So there you go.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for being so honest with us, disclosing and telling us how you did it. And of course, viewers, you will have to weigh up from what Jason has said, what is the most convenient system for you and what your income will afford as well. And maybe, as he has done, move on from smaller things to greater things as your workload changes. And you could even really get somebody on board to set up your software for you if you wanted to have Vtiger. So thank you very much. Thank you, Jason, first of all, for talking to me and coming in today. And thank you all for listening. And I hope that you will watch again, come back soon, and maybe Jason will come back too and have more to say about other aspects of his business setup. Thank you and good evening.